Hello, everybody. Greetings from the Galapagos Islands. My name is Felipe, and I am originally from Belgium. I'm Flemish. I was looking on the media, and this is once again for the world leaders, for the leaders of the European Union and everything, and for the people, all of us together. We are all world leaders. And I'm 71 now, and I think I have maybe something to say that may be useful. Maybe I say many, many things for hours and days and months. And then suddenly there is one important thing that everybody goes like, oh, that's interesting. Because we're not going to be here criticizing. We're going to be here sharing ideas, input. And I expect 90% of it to be wrong, and that's fine. It's just, things going through my mind. And you never know when you have that brainstorming going on, how sometimes an outsider may see something that insiders don't see. The first thing is I'm going to ask all the people in Belgium, all the governments, our king and queen and everything, what the heck have you done? I'm sorry, pardon my French. What have you done? If I look at online, all the cities, there are in the European Union, where there is this spokeswoman, young woman from Holland who speaks, and she's explaining that in some cities, like London, 75% of the people are not native. Other cities with 50, with 65% in Brussels. And in other cities in Belgium also the same thing is happening. I saw another expose where they are talking about, we have about 12 million citizens in Belgium. And there's 2.7 million which are ethnically not from Belgium. Now think about it. There's a small part which is German, and there's about, 50% or 45% which are Walloon, French speaking. And then you have 55% or whatever which are Flemish, 60%. But if you have close to 3 million people living in your country, and you already have two genetic makeups, two cultures, how does that work out? The Flemish people are disappearing. The rate of divorce, it's like 70%, 73%. First marriages. 84% of these are initiated by women. So the women are the ones which are divorcing, which makes not much sense unless women just simply, they want to be on their own, they want to be independent, they're happy, which is fine, absolutely no problem. But, you can't really say that 84% or 75% of the boys in Belgium are no good or not good enough. That doesn't seem to make much sense. So now we are going to slowly on end up with a society which doesn't go to church. The churches are closing, which don't really want to get married anymore. Everybody lives in their own little apartment, where they have 1.1, 1.2 children per family. Motherhood is disappearing. And of course, that's not sustainable when you think about welfare. People get old, they have to retire. But the retirement fund, there's not enough young people to support the retirement fund. There's not enough young people to support the workforce that you need, to do just handiworks with able-bodied people. You need young people for that. So of course, they have to allow for younger people from other places around the world to come in. And part-time and this and that and blah, blah, blah. There's many formulas and so forth, but right now, as you can see, it's not working out because all these problems that they have that they're dealing with, it's backfiring because there's drugs all over, there's insecurity, and there is basically a displacement. These cultures normally will have 3, 4, 5, 6 children. It's a normal thing for them to do. And it's a nice thing. It's a good thing. while the Europeans 50 years ago said, yeah, we have to have population control, and so they stopped having children. And that's happening in Singapore, in South Korea, in North Korea, in China, in Japan, in Europe, in Russia. All the world leaders are saying, listen, we need more kids. Our population is vanishing. And so what do we have? Flemish people, the Vlaming and the Belgian, which was a great people at one point in time. If we go like maybe 6 million, and then there's this 2 million of outlanders, that means there's only 4 million. You know that 35% of the population in Flanders is composed by outlanders. And so nothing against the outlanders, it's not sustainable. Because those cultures are very ancient. They also must be protected. So the ratio normally that we could call sustainable of, I would say, indentured, or I don't know what the right word, a matter of semantics, but I may be speaking incorrectly, but I'm trying to make a point, so an honest one, but a population that lives within this other community, the larger community, the local community, should be maybe 9%. You cannot have a great number of people like that coming in, and a girl, she's 16, and she gives birth, and boom, now you have a Belgian citizen, because she gave birth in Belgium. No. When you have a boy who comes, he's 14, he comes of age 15, now he has all the protection of the government, because he's a boy, he's a child, and then so forth. Then he becomes 18 while he's in the country. Now he gets the citizency and so forth. That doesn't work. And if I may say something, and the reason why this is such a difficult issue, because there's a racial component, right? And so, but I am 91% pure Flemish. My ancestors, they come from Gelderland, Gelderlander, de Gelderen. My DNA, I have two. My sisters, they were just curious, and they got 2 of these DNA studies. I'm 91% Brabant, Gelderland, and then there's 1% North African, and then there's a few points here and there from Denmark and Sweden and Friesland. So I am mostly, if you want to see a Flemish descendant, that's me, a Vlaming, een echte Vlaming. Yeah? And we come from Tienen, which is just close to Louvain, Leuven, which is our university city, close to Brussels in southern Brabant, which is Brabant, which is, we lived in Brussels, and so forth. We were in Belgium, Congo. For 2 years, my father was working in Leopoldville for a factory, and he was in charge there of metallurgic stuff and so forth. So we got a little knowledge, a little surface, 2 years. Very quick. I was 10 years old. We went back. My father didn't want to go back. Then we came to Ecuador. Racism. I got married to an Ecuadorian woman from Quito. Beautiful girl. We have 3 beautiful children. I have also the 2 daughters prior to that. And then with her, we have 3 children and 2 girls and 1 boy. And we live in the Galapagos Islands, and she is from Quito. And her family name is Jacome Leroux. And so her on the mother's side, her family is from French descent also. But you can tell because she has really black hair, and she is totally Ecuadorian, beautiful, and Ecuadorian culture. I live immersed in the Ecuadorian South American culture ever since, working in tourism and as a naturalist and as an artist and so forth. Ever since. So it took me 40, 50 years to really begin to understand the culture, because you think you got it and then you're not really. There's more to it. And then you think you got it and then you go like, there's more to it. And what really happens is that cultures go thousands, if not tens of thousands of years back. So what is culture doesn't make always sense, but that legacy is there. And it takes a long time for you to be able to learn about it, and it takes probably a number of generations before those people will truly accept you as one of theirs. And people are loving and delight. You know, I'm one more. Uno más del montón aquí. Uno más del montón. Con mis hijos, con mi esposa y todo, una ex esposa, pero todo el mundo, pero nos llevamos muy bien. Una comunidad muy bonita. But I have to remember I'm always, someone who came from somewhere else and who brings new cultural perspectives to the equation, which is good, which is desirable, I guess. But a transcultural process takes 4 generations. So let's say you have a young boy, he arrives to Belgium, fine. Then he comes of age, he gets married with a girl from his own ethnic group. He's going to be familiar there, comfortable. They have children, 4 or 5, not 1. And so then their children are born, and then they are born and they develop, and so they have their parents at home that are of both culture, but that at least they know both cultures. And then maybe one of those marries someone from the land and becomes genetically like I did, which becomes genetically mixtured. And then you have their grandchildren, once again. And so it waters down again. And like my son-in-law, for example, he's from Ecuador, and so my grandchildren are 25%, and so on. So, but you have to think about it. Nobody can really be of the land unless they have been part of that culture for 4 generations. It's a transgenerational process. So in legal terms, full, unequivocal, citizenship that is irrevocable from every point of view should be after the 4th generation, which means the 5th. Because in real time, that's what it takes. And if along the line anyone commits any sort of crimes or he's a miscreant or whatever, and he goes against the culture and against whatever, he can have privileges suspended, and for example, if you arrive, and our families have 1.2 children, so let's say that there's a family who has 2 children. Okay, they're going to get welfare and child support and this and that and schooling and medicine and whatnot. But if someone comes suddenly from another land, they have 6 children, which I have seen, because they've posted on TikTok, on YouTube, themselves, with interviews and so forth, and saying, this is the way it went with me. I have 6 children, and I come from Spain, but I am Muslim, and my husband, he's from Africa, North Africa, and our children and this and that, but they have taken really well care of them, and and so forth, and so that's why we left Spain, because it's better. The working and economical conditions are better in Flanders. And they were posting it on YouTube. They were explaining it, telling other people, come this way, this works wonderful. It's great here. This is the way to go, this is the place to be. And so, I'm sorry, but if you have 6 children, okay, we're going to look after 1.5, the same quota that the local community, the local population needs and requires. And the other children, you have to pay for them, or there will have to be other arrangements made. And maybe you have to pay your taxes, but because you're low income, you only pay 20% tax. But maybe you have to work, instead of 8 hours, you'd have to work another 4 hours extra or 2 hours extra per day on the weekends, so that a certain amount of money you can pay for the welfare of the country, of everybody, because you are coming, you have more children, so there's more weight, more demand, and also because there's a lot more people now suddenly a great influx, which are not small children. They're married couples and so forth. Now it's much more difficult for renting. So the renting goes up, so it's more difficult for the local people also to find rent and to pay very high rent, and life becomes more expensive. And safety is an issue. People have to spend much more money, or they are affected negatively that way because of lack of safety and so forth. And so all these things must be taken into consideration. But when we go about, oh yeah, but that's racial, because we have a lot of Arab people now from the Islam and so forth, and it's Islamophobic. And we have a lot of people from Africa, so that's racism. But no, what about if these would be people from China? It would be the same thing. What about if they would be people from Stockholm, from Norway? And we would have 3 million Norwegians in Belgium. It would be difficult also because they would be changing our culture. Even though they're quite similar, still it would be an impact. It would be like, well, wait a little bit, I mean, like, are we still at home? Can we still feel at home? And so it's not the fault of these people that came into Flanders. It is the government somehow that hasn't done things properly. Why aren't there more people from South America, for example? South America is 87% Christian. They speak Spanish, which is one of the languages we speak in Europe. So they are full Christian, and they can really learn very quickly and adapt. And they are known to adapt and to fit in, and it's been very good. So you can also look for more people, which have also finding people which are properly qualified, right? And also their personal records and their register and so forth. If someone who is in the country, like I'm in Ecuador, if I do something illegal, I'm in trouble. And I go to jail. Nobody's going to be looking after me. I mean, I'm going to be very respectful, but I'm in jail. It's not a nice thing here. Not a nice thing anywhere. And after that, when I get out of jail, okay, your hat, please, and your walking stick and your luggage, and ciao, ciao. Please, you go and live somewhere else. Go back home. Which is the way it should be. And if you have a criminal record and you reincide once and over and over and over again, let's say someone is from another country and he has that, bad rap, that bad record, and you come into a country and they give you opportunity to work and so forth, and then you steal, or you rob, you're a pickpocket, anything. It doesn't matter if it's something small, medium, or large, or it's an attack with a knife, that's life-threatening. Worse with a gun. Maybe they don't use guns because they're more difficult to find. Or drug-related, if they are not from the land, very first thing, automatically, there's an automatic procedure, automatic operational standard procedure, which is put legally into place, which means that automatically the first thing is, tuck, because you have been involved with that, your immigration rights are going to a different category. They are not suspended immediately, but they go into a limbo. And you're not protected anymore by all these other laws. Now you're in a limbo, and you have to prove, that you're okay, whatever. But if it's infraganti, if it's proven, the only thing is they go like, okay, fine, you're going to be judged by your government in your country. And if you don't want to be judged by your government in your country, we will have a special annex to our embassy in your country, and you can go there and you can be judged. And if you are judged, we will then report that to your government, and they can make the decision, if you want to, And then you can clean your slate, and then you can maybe immigrate again, because you cleaned your slate, there was a mistake. But first and foremost, you go out. And I would personally right now declare for Europe an emergency situation, just like in China and Singapore, if you have people that are selling large amounts of trafficking drugs and stuff like that, and selling it, or serious criminals, serious crime, I would instaure immediately the death penalty, and I'm totally against it, but at this point it must be done, because we must look at how we can save the lives of everybody else. Nayib Bukele said that. Okay, I have 50,000 people in jail for the rest of their life, but I saved 7 million lives. Because you have these gangs which are taking over. So you have to declare an exceptional state, a state of exception. And you have to bring the military, and you have to round up everybody. And for starters, anyone who has a criminal record, even petty thievery, must be processed and deported. And if the family has to go, family goes too. You tell them, no, this is just, we deport them. But, someone else who has a clean slate, a good person from that country, can come and find a job and work 6 months a year, and then go back and spend wonderful time in their country, and then come back again 6 months and whatever. But it must work, and it's not working. And it's not a matter of race. It's a matter of cultural compatibility, and I am a living witness and testimony to the fact that crossing over like that, transcultural adjustment, is not easy. I know I even married, so it's not easy. Because ik ben nog altijd een Vlaming. Nog altijd een Vlaming, Vlaanderen die leu. En die inborsten blijft erbij, tot je oogjes doet. Het blijft. En er zijn verschillen, grote verschillen. The big differences. Il y a beaucoup de différences entre les cultures. Et on s'adapte. Bon, il faut bien s'adapter, donc. Et ça ne veut pas dire, par exemple, qu'on a toujours cette culture quand on est né. Bon, et moi, j'avais 15 ans quand je suis venu, donc après 15 ans, bon, ça reste. On reste un Belge tant que Belge. Et entre parenthèses, en ce qui concerne la Flandre et la Wallonie, il y a les Flamands qui apprennent toujours le français, les Wallons moins, parce que la France elle est très grande, donc il y a davantage de gens qui parlent français, donc le flamand c'est pas une langue dont on a tellement besoin, comme par exemple l'allemand, ça oui, ils sont centaines de millions de personnes. Mais ce qu'on devrait faire entre les Flamands et à Bruxelles de facto, et entre les Wallons, c'est de ne pas parler à son tour, le wallon, le français ou le flamand, parce qu'en flamand, il y a beaucoup de dialectes aussi. C'est pas facile. Ça, je reconnais. Ce serait de se mettre d'accord et les deux parler l'anglais. Comme une langue internationale, parce que, à la fin, c'est la langue qu'on va parler tout de même dans l'Union européenne, et ce sera la plus pratique. Et ce sera donc un avantage pour ceux qui la parlent, et la parlent très très bien. Il y a beaucoup de Wallons. Ça vous laisse donc le choix de, nos enfants, etc., on n'aura pas besoin jamais de vraiment apprendre le flamand parce que ça ira très bien avec l'anglais. Ouais. Là, il faut être pratique un petit peu aussi. Hein. Alors, ik geloof dat beste tussen de Vlamingen bijvoorbeeld en de Walen, want ja, Walen die spreken Frans. Er zijn vele Fransmannen in Frankrijk, maar niet veel mensen spreken Vlaams, alleen maar in Nederland. En dan, wij praten nog veel dialecten ook nog. Dus het is nu moeilijk voor een francofoon om Vlaams te leren en te spreken. Het is heel verschillend, het is een Germanische taal. En dus moest het dat Duits zijn, dan zouden ze ganz waarschijnlijk Duits leren, want er zijn 100 miljoen Duitsers. Maar Vlamingen, er zijn er tamelijk weinig, spijtig genoeg. En dus het beste van al, voor ons, in Brussel, A, en dan B, dus in België in generaal, in plaats van die andere taal te spreken, beiden Engels te kiezen. Want Engels is toch die internationale taal die iedereen gebruikt in Europa. Want je hebt zoveel talen. Dus het moet toch in Engels worden. Ja, is toch, maakt zin uit. En dus deze ideeën. Maar ja, de zaak dus, ik zou zeggen, van 2,7 miljoen, dan moet tenminste naar beneden komen en 700.000 laten. En de rest terug naar hun land en dan 6 maanden willen ze komen werken en ze gaan terug. De familie die blijft daar en die komen om te werken en of het moeten mensen zijn dus. En dan langzaamaan, slowly aan, het transgenerationale proces in plaats geven. Ja, het kan wel zijn, ja, het kan gedaan worden. Ja, het is mogelijk, ja, het staat allemaal, we zijn helemaal er open ervoor, maar het moet gedaan worden op een bepaalde manier. Omdat we niet konden voorzien dat dat zo intens ging worden. Hè. En nogmaals, moesten we 3 miljoen Duitsers in België hebben bijvoorbeeld, of Fransen. Over 1,5, 2 miljoen Fransen in Vlaanderen. Er is geen plaats meer voor ons. Ja. Dus en het economisch Europees, whatever, they must also think about this. Because it's a very small country, it's a very small community. The same rules and regulations cannot apply. Je kunt dezelfde reguleringen niet gebruiken of in plaats zetten als je zo'n heel kleine bevolking hebt. Want dat gaat gewoonweg niet. Hè. Het is niet moeilijk. Ja. En anders gaat er andere soorten problemen beginnen. Hè. En dat is ook niet goed. En gelijk wel kunnen zien dus, sommige politieke groepen die beginnen sterker en sterker te worden. En in Ierland en in Engeland en overal. Omdat, nou ja, in Duitsland ook, omdat, ja, het gewoonweg niet meer gaat. Mensen zeggen, ja voilà, ik ga eens even wandelen in mijn eigen stad. En ik ben een buitenlander. Waar moet ik naartoe? Naar een boerderij ergens? We hebben geen 3, 4, 5.000 jaar lang gevochten, onze voorvaderen, om nu ons land te verliezen. Hè? Wij zijn Vlamingen, Vlaanderen die leu. Huh.